4, Donald Loftus. Another big rattle for this guy. I had a job after I retired. I became president of an AUSA chapter, and my job was Mr. Hold events for the CG and all the people that came into JRTC at Fort Polk. So I know what this is like. I used to have to do something similar about once a month. So it's a tough job. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort goes into it. And you know, we appreciate it. You just don't know how much we appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Thank you. This is kind of a somber ending that I want to do tonight, and I'm not going to talk much about the great things. I want to start with the great things, and then we'll end up with more serious things. Well, the first thing is memories, because I mean, you know, who knows? I mean, we may not have another reunion for a while, and we'll get to speak to you. But I remember one thing when General Foss, who was the TRADOC commander and credited with the inventor of the light infantry. Okay, the light infantry designer. At least he was the general that pushed it through and got the 7th Division and the 6th Division and the 10th Division and those things started. He visited JRTC and he looked at the 509th in a couple of battles and said, you know, this is the finest light infantry in the Army. Not just our Army, in the world. And he said that, no kidding. And the funny thing was that one of the exercises he saw was B-Troop, being his infantryman. Serious. One of them was A Company, but the other one was B-Troop.
Thanks.
That's a fact. So, you know, generals can generalize, but they don't always know the truth, do they? There's a bunch of 19 Deltas out there kicking butt, you know? I was pretty proud of that, and I didn't correct him, you know, when he said it. But anyway, it was a neat experience to hear a general officer, after watching an exercise, see that. He just couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe the things that Colonel Reitzel was describing that was going on in front of his own eyes. It was unbelievable. And you all did it, you know it, and you said it was kind of natural and easy, and like Colonel Reitzel said, don't anyone tell this to ISIS, please. Don't let any of our manuals slip out that we kept, and that Blue Fort never read them. Let's hope ISIS never reads them. Okay?
Didn't even read them.
So now the serious point I want to talk about is how many in here are over 30? How about over 40?
Yeah.
How about over 50? Getting a little small. How about over 60? How about over 70? That's really simple. What I'm trying to say is, look around at the ages that were here, and guys and gals, we're at the point where vulnerabilities start creeping up, and you start having knee pain, and you start having butt pain, and everything else. You know, and we got some medical guys in here that will tell you, we're at the age that you need to go get tests done. Lee Smith is an example. Lee Smith has got colon cancer. I don't know whether they had the test or whatever. I'm an Agent Orange cancer survivor right here. Hamby the same way.
Wow.
Agent Orange cancer survivor. On the other hand, I can't see it. Back there waving their hand. I think Colonel Reitzel might be a cancer survivor too, from Agent Orange. And you know, everybody said, well, Agent Orange, you could be, yeah, they've expanded it because they can't, it's too hard to figure out where you got it. Yeah. But, you know, we used to get water purification tablets to put in our water to make it clean. And we were drinking stuff right out of bomb craters, you know, and it was not, it doesn't do anything for Agent Orange. It helps bacterial and stuff, it doesn't do anything. So, a lot of cancers out there, and you can discover it from testing. Lots of tests, they're not hard, they're not, you know, they're difficult, but you got to do it. You know, you just got to do it. Another one that just passed away, and Hamby put this out about Colonel Word. He had cancer, had his leg amputated, And that sort of put him out. You know, if you ever knew Colonel Word, he only averaged about, for his life, probably 6 miles a day. I mean, he was hardcore, had a body fat of about 2%. I mean, hardcore guys that you've ever seen. And he died, he had cancer and ended up dying. And that's what I want to give as a eulogy to Colonel Word. So when I was a good young captain and a company commander in Berlin Brigade, I get a call one day that says, you've been selected to be a test company for a new concept that's coming out, and it's called Scopes. Now, I'm not going to describe Scopes to you, but it's a precursor of Miles and all the training we do with Miles. And Colonel Word, when he went to got his master's degree in psychology at Florida State, he started thinking about experiential learning and what an after-action kind of review would do for soldiers and units. And so he went to, part of his study was he got to go visit S.L.A. Marshall, one of the great historians of World War II. What S.L.A. Marshall used to do was within 24 hours of a battle, he insisted that he get the company that participated in that battle, and he would chronologically recreate what happened in that battle and the soldiers that participated in that battle right there talking about it. And he would write the lessons learned. And that was really his impact for the Army. He wrote some great books. Men Against Fire is a classic. It's what we've all did in JRTC time and time again. And if you ever want to read it, it's a great book, Men Against Fire by S.L.A. Marshall. So he, after interviewing S.L.A. Marshall, he went back and developed the after-action review. And this was in 1965, 66 when he did this. In the meantime, he was doing things like on a plane, getting ready to jump into Cuba and missile sites with the 101st. And he also went to Ole Miss when Meredith was put into Ole Miss. So, he did his unit stuff all along, and then he was Special Forces in Vietnam. But the key thing, the most important thing he did is come up on this after-action review as an idea. So then he went to work for the Army Research Institute, and him and this other guy, a scientist, were out in the park in Virginia playing with these scopes and M16s and trying to figure out, can we recreate a battle with these scopes, because the lasers are not going to be around for about another 5 or 6 years in terms of miles. So they developed that. I got called. They decided we got to test it. So they come to Berlin, and our company gets selected to go out and do the test unit. And here comes Colonel Word with all these weird scientists, and we're out there running this thing and doing this shooting, and we end up being trained, and then everybody else gets trained on how it works, and then we fought 4 other different rifle companies and destroyed them, as you know, just like we do in the Blue Force. Destroyed them. And people wrote this report, and they went back, and General Gorman, who was the father of Miles in terms of the general officer pushing it, he said, this is exactly what we want. And he used that report to go through and get Miles funding approved. It was cut 3 and 4 times. And one day General Gorman showed up at a House Armed Services Committee and went in and berated all the senators of the House because they were about ready to redline and cut the thing out of the program. And he saved it. But Colonel Word was the guy that gave him all the information, gave him the reports, and did all this kind of stuff. So then I went off and did some things, and then Colonel Word and we kept in touch a little bit. And then Colonel Word, at that point, this is probably 1975 or 76, I get put in the hospital, and I call up for a job, and a staff job, and the doctor said, I'm going to throw you out of the Army if you stay in units, because you can't do it. So I needed a staff job. So I call Colonel Word, and he gets me a staff job, and it's doing the Miles development. And the Miles development of the training in the Army. Back then, the old ATTs, everybody ever do an ATT? It was an Army training test. And it just had a bunch of checklists. Did you issue the order? Yes. Did you cross the LD on time? Yes. And if you had all these checks, then you passed. Didn't matter if you killed anybody or you shot anybody, but that was the Army test. Imagine now what the RTEP does, but the RTEP still said swept right and flanked the objective and won. didn't say how they did it. So Colonel Ward set out to taking, while we were developing miles, he was working on taking the RTEP and turning it into an objective measure based on tactical engagement simulation miles. And he did that. If you read the RTEPs, they're that way. He did that. Himself. Only him. He had other people helping him, but he did that for the Army. Put the after action review. Then he actually wrote the manual and put it out, the after action review technique. You read through any of your Army, Google it or whatever. But you know the things that you'll see when you do that, it never mentions Colonel Larry E. Word. He was too humble, he was too proud, he had a mission to do. It never mattered to him if he got credit. It was the Army that he wanted to bring out. So then we fielded miles. Fantastic. But you know, they look at Larry Word, well, he's been doing this for damn 15, 5 or 10 years, and he hasn't, we got a movie, let's get him out of here. He's getting too radical. So they moved Larry Word to Europe. Well, this is back then when Europe was drawing down, and the miles that was over there, it was in the wrong places. It was in warehouses where there were no divisions. He single-handedly in a 1.5 year Europe tour rearranged and relocated all the miles of equipment in Europe and helped start the CTC in Hohenfeld. Then he comes back, and what does he do? At that time, I was fortunate to stay connected with Miles, and we're doing the net. What's the net? New equipment training, yeah. So we get that done, and we go to Fort Irwin with the first equipment, and Larry shows up, and he and I are able to do the first after-action review with Miles at the National Training Center. He stays there and becomes the first OC at the National Training Center doing all this stuff. It's amazing how he was able to do that. I mean, here he invented this stuff, and he's still plugging. He's still, and they're sending him to Europe and trying to do these things, and Larry Word's still plugging. He's still getting his message across. He's still doing it. So he does that and goes a 3-year tour at NTC, and he gets this idea, we need to have a light force, because he was always a light infantryman, special forces. So he starts working with people at DA and gets the authority, gets the idea to come on and start setting up the National Training Center, the Joint Readiness Training Center here in Fort Chaffee. And he was here when most of you got here, doing his thing out. Who's this colonel running around, doing this weird stuff? Everybody, I'm seeing some heads nodding, because there was Larry Word out there watching and then correcting and making people. And if you were an OC, he drove you nuts, because the after-action review had to be perfect. It had to be perfect. And he did that over and over and over again. And then Larry Word got ready to retire, and he retired after here. So he doesn't go back and start playing golf and reading, whatever people do when they retire. I didn't either, but I did play a little more golf after that. But he goes to Bosnia with MPRI and opens the Bosnia National Training Center for the Bosnian Army during that particular conflict. And then he's back lately working with Bill Hamby and stuff with MPRI in Africa, setting up training sites for that. That's what he was doing and also in Kuwait and running situational training for people getting ready to go over, or once they got their training, their staffs, etc. So, Larry Hamby got a letter from his wife that said, Larry was buried. He didn't want any obituaries written. He didn't want any eulogies. He didn't want any services. He just wanted to be buried. So that's the way he went. And I felt tonight we had to honor Larry Word. Because what an impact. Do you know anybody in the Army that had that kind of impact? I don't. And I was in 26.5 years and never knew a person that had such an impact on what we do and what the Army does in support. So let's drink one tonight for Larry Word, okay? Cool. We'll get to colonoscopy, okay?